as I work to resolve technical difficulties of my own making. Let's be clear about that.
Are we starting?
That's my technical difficulties of my own making.
I know where we are now with the technical difficulties. He's doing everything because I'm stuck in my hole that I made right here.
I have to change shirts too. Just gotta put on my loose fur or something. Oh well.
I don't know. I got the Hellfire Club. We're good. It is in rep.
But yeah.
Okay, so while we get our Vibe Network up and running, everybody, cocktail tonight, brought to you by Lee, is our frozen eyeballs. It is
Yellow-eyed demon.
yellow-eyed demon. There you go.
Supernatural.
So we have frozen grapes in here. Those are our eyeballs. We have lemonade. We have pineapple juice and whiskey.
Yep.
And that's all we got. Cheers.
It's a dangerous drink.
It's very tasty. And cat, you know?
No.
You know, baby? Baby? Please don't paddle your brother right next to the camera.
Oh. 3, 2, 1.
Luna, come here.
I love how classy it sounds.
Now we got everybody.
And we're just going to move to you now.
We're gonna move.
Because
All right.
Okay, technical difficulties solved.
Although I do still have to get myself on Facebook here.
All right, so
So if anybody's commenting yet, I don't know if anybody is.
Not just
not
yet.
quite yet.
I'm working on it.
It's been a busy day. We had another meeting for another event that.
Oh, we got
Although
Donnie
live-
on.
Hey, Donnie. We're gonna go live with that on Friday, so we'll make that announcement on Friday. So watch out for that.
But let's
What
see.
announcement?
One thing, huh?
What announcement?
Well, we mentioned
Bad
it.
girl.
We mentioned it to you.
Yes, but that's it. So yours probably.
You're in the know. You have the privilege of knowing all week long.
Yes. But let's see. We did.
All
start,
we? Oh,
Yeah,
anyways.
'cause we're announcing Friday. But we did start putting live out there. We're doing a special event at our farmers market on October 30th, which is a Sunday. It's going to be a story-telling scavenger hunt. Myself, Lee, and 2 of our other guides are going to be stationed out, and you need to come find us and catch a story to collect photo bombs with us. And then you'll be able to return to Chris for a ticket for some yum-yums.
Either a pint at Rosie Connolly's Pub or a scoop of ice cream at the Sweet Spot. So,
I highly recommend the ice cream at Sweet Spot. Also, hi, Patrick.
but
So
yeah, we got that going on. Tickets for that are already available. The event's on October 30th. So if you go and look at our events calendar on our website, you will see the tickets there.
Yep, and it is family friendly, so bring out the family. Also, you get a chance to get some hump swag with each ticket. So the pins and the wristbands that you see us selling when you buy tickets, those are included in the ticket price this time. So
Yep.
it's kind of fun to get those out with some glowy things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We have another meeting on Wednesday for another event that we're going to be announcing after that. So definitely more stuff coming out. And as always, we have our brand new tour, Creepy Tales on Campus, that will be on the 19th with me. So that'll be fun.
Yep. That is the official.
Oh, that's the
public
official
group.
That's
first
the
one.
official,
Yes.
not
Okay.
your private.
We-
I have a special one.
Yes.
Don't you have? Oh no, you're doing the other private one.
Yeah.
We have 2 private ones before that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But-
We got special people.
So
But yeah, so scavenger hunt, launching new tour, 2 other events which are announcements are pending.
yep.
I think I promised last time I would have them announced before this show. I lied, so sorry.
Well, one of them we're announcing when the location announces.
Yeah, 'cause
which
we're-
is why we're waiting till Friday.
We're partnering with places, which is awesome. We love partnering with places. We're very excited about it, and we have one other thing that that you and I are doing that is not haunts related. We are going to be participating in the Ghost Walks at Night
Yes.
at Hanover Tavern. which this is an annual event up there. It helps raise funds for Historic Hanover Tavern. And that is going to be, it's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the week before Halloween. 23rd, 24th, 25th, I think. Any case, whatever that before Halloween there, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
He'll be a guide, I'll be a ghost. It'll be fun.
Yep. So
If you ever wanted to see me as Dolly Parton, you get to see it there.
Yep. So gonna be a good time up there, and
one of our other guides, Stephanie's going to be with us as well.
I love Stephanie.
Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany. I like Tiffany too.
and I'm sure there's other stuff going on that I can't remember. We will be doing one show next month,
The 17th.
the 17th, which is 3 weeks from today, and then it will be, I think, 2 or 3 weeks until the one after that. Yeah. Either way, it's October. We're crazy busy. We love doing these shows, but we do need to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect us to be so busy in October, you know? It's like, why those?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I slightly laugh every time I get an email now that says, I would like a private tour on a Friday or Saturday.
We appreciate the enthusiasm. We really do. But
Friday or Saturday in what other month besides October? Because October's booked.
it's getting there. It's getting there.
We can do it during the week, just not Friday, Saturdays.
Anyways, so we have I have comments to catch up on, but
But you're doing the first story because you like this story.
we have our comments squared away, our introduction squared away.
We have our spooky kitty
we
judge.
have our mascot. We have our drinks. We have an audience. So yeah, okay, great, awesome. Here we go. So
Off to Ireland.
well,
We're going to Ireland.
We're going
Yes.
to Ireland to start.
now for centuries though, just as people have clamored to find a pathway to heaven, they have also been fascinated with portals to hell. Most people wish to know where they are simply so that they can be avoided, but others would seek them out for less savory reasons.
I'm driving the bus.
Our first stop does, in fact, take us to the Emerald Isle, to a place called Montpelier Hill in the Wicklow Mountains south of Dublin. The area is known for its beautiful views and the aging hunting lodge at the hill's summit that was built by William Connolly in 1725. The lodge was not the first man-made structure to grace the hill, rather a prehistoric passage grave rested on the summit, and stones from this cairn were taken to aid in the construction of Connolly's lodge. When finished, the lodge was given the name Montpelier. Now, it's probably safe to say that taking stones from an ancient burial site to complete your hunting lodge is ill-advised. Shortly after the completion of the lodge, a storm blew the roof off within a matter of weeks. Locals whispered that this was the work of the devil for having damaged the burial site in disrespecting the old gods. Connolly was a staunch Anglican, and decided he would put these spirits in their place and use the stones from the passage tomb to replace the damaged roof with one made of stone. Despite Connolly's stubbornness, he was never able to use his grand hunting lodge. Connolly passed away in 1729 rather, and was at that time considered by many to be the richest man in Ireland. Rumors flew about claiming that his actions on Montpelier Hill caused his death. These rumors of the occult attracted the interest of a group of young aristocrats who were rumored to be depraved troublemakers at best and demonic at worst. In 1735, they moved into the lodge, and the Hellfire Club was born.
Hey!
Hellfire Club!
Yes.
Yeah!
Stories about this club of debauched young men were rife, and the location of the lodge was very remote. So the line between fact and fiction is blurry at best. These young men would spend nights here gambling and drinking. They allegedly left one chair empty as an open invitation for the devil to join them. Of course, these rumors drew in a lot of interest, but one of the most wicked eyewitness accounts came from the alleged visit of a local priest. This priest claimed that he went to the lodge one night and found the members of the Hellfire Club engaged in the sacrifice of a black cat. Don't listen. Horrified by the sight, the priest claimed that he grabbed the cat and performed an exorcism. He expelled a demon from the poor deceased creature and further fueled the stories of demonic activity associated with the Hellfire Club. That said, it has also been claimed that Black Cat was Hellfire Club's mascot, So unless they were sacrificing their mascot, it's near impossible to know what to believe. The club's stay at the lodge was brief as they moved out after a fire damaged the building, an event that allegedly coincided with the acceptance of their long-standing open invitation. As the story goes, one night a lone man knocked on the door seeking refuge. They allowed him in, and during a game of cards, one of the members of the Hellfire Club dropped his card. When he reached down to retrieve it, he looked at the man's feet and saw that he had cloven hooves. Seeing this, the man immediately burst into flame. This flame started a fire that spread throughout the lodge, and you can still see the charred walls when you visit today. The devil seems to have been an avid card player, as the same story is told down in Wexford about Loftus Hall, supposedly the most haunted place in Ireland.
Which we've talked about.
Yeah. Another version of the fire story claims that after a sermon for the devil, a servant spilled a drink on the notorious club member Thomas Burnchapel Whaley. Whaley's response to this accidental insult was to douse the servant with brandy and set him on fire. The fire then spread to the rest of the building, killing several members.
Waste of alcohol.
Whatever happened after the fire, the club moved to nearby Killicky Stewart's house. The club's activities declined, but the myths and stories around the Hellfire Club are as popular as ever. Despite having departed the lodge over 2 centuries ago, many believe that the Hellfire Club's activities here unleashed something that cannot be controlled. Ongoing tales of demonic encounters here have continued to roll in, as otherworldly creatures are rumored to prowl the grounds. For anyone brave enough to chance a brush with a gate to hell, this is one of the easiest places to do so. The land and the building are now owned by Coilty, Ireland's state forestry company, so it is open to all. The most popular time to visit this infamous hill is naturally Halloween, a night in Irish mythology when the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead is fragile and blurred. That said, as with all things paranormal, be careful what you wish for when seeking out an encounter with the unknown.
I have a fun fact.
So what do we want?
Yeah, go for it.
I've got a friend who has family from the town nearby. And one day they were joking about the black cat, saying, "Oh, you must, have the hair stand on the back of your neck every single time you see a black cat." And it was their grandfather who just kind of paused and looked at everyone and he said, "I don't think I've ever even seen a black cat here. I haven't seen a stray black cat in all their time living there. Until that night." And a black cat ended up crossing their path that night. So,
Maybe
Fun.
black kitties are big luck.
Ireland stories.
Alright, so we're going to come back over to the U.S. for this next story. This is the bizarre tale of Satan's Hollow. Now, this is a place deep in the woods of Blue Ash, Ohio, not far from Cincinnati. Here, there's a dark and spooky series of tunnels that were built to serve as a storm drain, but have accrued a rather ominous reputation as a place where all manner of devil worshippers congregate to carry out their blasphemous rituals in the dark, away from prying eyes. Really, She has opinions.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
Within the oppressive, inky darkness of the dank and stagnant air, the tunnels are various scrawled messages, including the number 666 and a vaguely ominous Badlands, and a very threatening, given the context, this way to God's chamber. Other more obvious warnings as go back and hell lies ahead litter the walls as well. There is said to be an altar room used for demonic magic and human sacrifices. This is deeply unsettling. The locale has earned itself this suiting name of course, Satan's Hollow. The tunnels have long been ground zero for a variety of strangeness. People who pass by them say that often they hear eerie groans or screams emanating from the blackness, or that sometimes a strange glow flickers deep within. There's supposedly a pitch-black apparition called the Shadow Man that prowls the depths here, looking as if he had crawled straight out of the void of hell's darkest corner. It should come to as no surprise that amidst these passages there is rumored to be a passage to the depths of hell. Satan's Hollow is one of the best known but least visited legends in the region. Deeply annoyed neighbors and the police try to keep people clear from these tunnels that are on private property. And if the illegal nature of such a visit isn't enough of a deterrent, the fear of devil worship or plain old claustrophobia will keep many others away. For those who don't venture here against wiser counsel, well, you usually do so in search of a passage that a group of Satanists supposedly managed to open. Perhaps, not surprisingly, with all the reports of the paranormal going on at the location, Satan's Hollow has attracted investigators who have dared to venture into the tunnels, aside from coming back with videos of chambers with religious-like markings plastering the walls. They've also heard footsteps rapidly passing across the damp floors of these tunnels when there's nobody else there. In one particularly active investigation, while using a piece of equipment called a spirit box, investigators believe that they got in contact with a particularly evil and intelligent spirit that was all too happy to have a conversation. After asking around 20 questions and receiving a variety of direct, intelligent responses, they wisely decided to head out. It's rare for an investigator to walk away from an active and intelligent paranormal encounter, but the responses coming through the spirit box were extremely negative, and the voice claimed to be the devil himself. Other answers confirmed that the presence of the shadow man who was supposedly roaming the tunnels to serve as Satan's watchman. There was a claim that the man named Jake had been sacrificed amidst the cramped and creepy chambers. Realizing that they were deep underground with a very limited number of options for places to go, the unarmed investigators moved along before some potentially ill-intentioned individuals entered the tunnels and found themselves cornered. As time goes on, it's certain that Satan's Hollow will be continued to attract more curiosity seekers and investigators, no matter how much the locals try to keep them away, as do the police. The official police line is that there are no hauntings, sacrifices, or portals to hell in the tunnels, but they understand that their opinion means very little to teenagers and thrill seekers. Despite having caught many trespassers in Satan's Hollow, they always let them go with a warning. The officers remember what it was like to be young and foolish. As for any thoughts of blocking the tunnels, one must remember that they were built as a major storm drain. Any bars that could be put up to keep people out would also catch loads of debris, flooding the tunnels and damaging the surrounding properties. So the grand game of cat and mouse between police, curiosity seekers, and alleged devil worshippers and the otherworldly creatures will probably continue in Satan's Hollow for many years to come. Oops,
You just close to the
I hit
script.
the wrong button.
You totally hit the wrong button.
Oops.
Phew. All right, there we go.
Sorry.
Yeah. Satan's Hollow, that's just a short drive away. Granted, trespassing.
No. I don't do well in confined tunnel space. I really don't.
Especially dark, dank storm sewers.
And you know how the dark stuff likes.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I know.
I'll go to Hellfire Club, but I ain't going to that one.
Love to go to Hellfire Club. That just sounds like a fun time.
I'll play cards. I'm just not going to look at anybody's feet.
That is my I kind of stemmed a little when we started talking about the card story. It's one of my all-time favorite stories.
It is a fantastic story.
It really is.
Truly is a classic, and I know, yeah, it's associated here, but then it's associated there, the other place there, right down the road, and I think it's been told at several other places.
Yeah.
Oh,
as
certainly,
well.
yeah. no,
there's
I-
always a game of cards with the devil goes. 'Cause
Yeah.
he likes his cards.
Particularly across the British Isles and Ireland. It seems like there's a version of that story
Just
pops
about
up.
everywhere.
Yeah, but yes. So our next stop. Now, this next stop, we're going to be here for just a little while. Admittedly, I will say this isn't exactly a portal to hell, but it is said to have been marked by the devil himself. While it is currently noted as one of the most romantic places in the Czech Republic, the castle Cervena Lhota has a sometimes grim past. The existence of an original fortress on the site of today's castle is assumed to have come from sometime in the middle of the 14th century. Lacking detailed early property records, there are many assumptions about the fortress's chain of ownership, at least until about 1530, when it was sold to the knightly family of Cobb of Ribnah. Ribnah. We'll go with that. Now,
I'm sorry, I don't speak.
yeah.
I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Now, of the Cobb family, the most interesting character was undoubtedly the knight Jan, a capable manager, active builder, and loyal servant to the House of Habsburg. The short life of Knight Jan was tragically marked by the plague, which took 5 of his children in 1557. After Jan himself passed away, his remaining sons partitioned up the estate, and the families of 2 of the brothers, Butchval
No.
and Jerry's. It's not Jerry. It's not, but it's
Jerry.
It's Jerry. Now, they wound up inhabiting Castle Cervena Lhota together. This was a very unhappy arrangement, and the castle became a theater of squabbles, arguments, and personal assaults. Compounding the family's difficulties was that Knight Jan's widow forsook the church, blaming God for having taken her husband from her prematurely. Between the widow's anguish and the angst of malice between the 2 branches of the family, it's believed that the devil gained a foothold in the beautiful castle. Knight's widow became possessed by this resident of hell, and it resulted in her bloody and premature demise when the devil dragged her to hell. Before absconding with her soul, the devil painted a cross on one of the snow-white walls of the castle using the woman's blood. This bloody reminder was deeply ingrained within the castle's wall, and nothing could lift the awful stain. So the decision was made to plaster the entire castle in red, giving the castle its very distinctive and beautiful facade, for which it is so well known today.
See, those blood stains are not easy.
No.
No,
They really are.
Alright, so we're staying in the Czech Republic.
I think we had 3 stories in the Czech Republic, I think. So 2 of 3, here we go.
So now we're going to go over to Houska Castle. And this is one that is rumored to have a very direct line to the very bowels of hell. Standing at the forested hill, the edge of a limestone cliff, Houska Castle has a dark past that lures many to its doors in search of answers. Answers to the legendary secrets that are believed to reside within its walls. One of the many questions about Houska's castle is, one might wonder why it was built on such a place. Okay, sir? I just lost my spot. There is such a place with no strategic importance and without any source of water. Why is it that so many dead birds are so often found in the castle's inner courtyard? And why was this castle built on a site that was historically covered with an impenetrable woods and not even suitable for hunting, with no nearby borders or trade routes to defend? Why did the Swedish mercenary leader and black magician Oronto decide to make this castle his home and laboratory in 1639? What was he doing there that terrified the local peasants so much that they assassinated him? Yeah, kind of sounding a little bit like Frankenstein, huh? Well, why was Houska Castle occupied by the occult-influenced Nazi SS during the Second World War? And why have locals always avoided the castle and surrounding area, fearing that some evil lurks there? Might want to grab that.
Yep.
Well, supposedly the castle's original purpose was to guard the gateway to hell through some bottomless well. Local people wanted to fill the well with rocks to get rid of evil spirits. However, they were unsuccessful. So they covered the place with thick stone plates and built a chapel over it. The walls were always moist, and even during the terrible droughts. Indeed, Castle Houska has long been a place that inspires a sense of fear and mystery, which raises many questions. Definite answers, however, are mostly conjecture. The legends surrounding the site of the Houska Castle are older than the castle itself. There's archaeological evidence of a Celtic inhabitation in this area dating back to antiquity, and the Slavic tribes migrated here in the 6th century. His first structure was existing on the site was a small wooden fort that stood here back in the 9th century, mentioned in Czech chronicles that was published in 1541. The same chronicle recounts a legend, a story of a strange crack on top of the limestone cliff, a hole in the ground unimaginably deep and reputed to be the source of strange visitations. Local residents began calling it a hole to hell, and the villagers avoided passing anywhere near it after dark. They believed strange creatures, half animal, half human, issued forth from the portal to kill livestock and wreak other havoc. And they also believed that any person who passed near the site was himself in danger of being changed into one of these creatures of the pit. This precipitated into the attempt to fill the hole with stones, but no success, and it swallowed everything they dropped down with no visible effect. It's reported that eventually the Duke of a powerful Duba clan, in order to discover the secret behind this supposed gateway, offered a condemned prisoner a full pardon for his crimes if he would complete one task. He had to consent to be lowered down into the bottomless pit on the end of a rope to report back on what he found there. To this the man readily agreed, but once he had descended into the opening for quite some distance, there came a long period of silence, and then the convict began screaming uncontrollably from deep within the ground. When the Duke's men pulled up the convict back to the surface, they found his hair had turned completely white, and he was stark, raving mad. He died soon after. Some accounts claim that this experiment was repeated more than once, all with the same results. After these trials, the decision was made to construct the castle. When the castle was built, the crack in the limestone was covered with thick stone plates, and the castle's chapel was constructed on top of it in order to seal the hole to hell. The chapel was then dedicated to the archangel Michael, and the leader of God's armies in the fight against the hordes of hell. Faded frescoes on the chapel walls, some of the oldest found in Europe, which date back to the early 1400s, depict Michael in two scenes. One, as he is fighting a dragon, a symbol of evil, and in the other, he holds a sword in one hand and a set of scales in the other. He's weighing the souls of the last judgment. Depicted also are scenes from the crucifixion and St. Christopher. But what's strange about the chapel frescoes is that on one of the walls can be seen a figure like any other in the paintings of the time. Here we see the creature with an upper body of a woman, the lower body of a horse, holding her bow in her right hand, with her left arm aiming an arrow at a human figure. Not only is it exceedingly unusual to find a representation of a centaur, a creature of pagan mythology adorning the walls of a church, but it's also the only known exact picture of the left-handed female archer. In the Middle Ages, left-handedness was associated with Satan, and the researchers believe that this picture is linked to the stories of the half-human animals which were seen to emerge from the gateway buried underneath the chapel's floor. The entrance to the underworld is not the only legend attached to this castle. As previously mentioned, in the 17th century, at the time of the 30 Years' War, during a period when Castle Houska stood empty and was chosen by a Swedish rogue commander of brigands and mercenaries. Aranto used this as his headquarters. Now, he was reputed to be a black magician and an alchemist who performed unsavory experiments in the castle. Not only this, but during the time of Aranto's occupation, his soldiers became a terror to the local village people until at least 2 hunters, willing to risk the consequences, snuck up to the castle in the middle of the night, shot Aranto through the window, supposedly as he was working in his laboratory to discover an elixir of life, eternal life. Another very peculiar fact about Houska is that when the square stone structure was originally constructed in the 13th century, most of its defenses were not facing towards the outside, but built facing towards the inner courtyard. So supposedly it looked like not as a castle that had been built to keep enemies outside, but rather to keep something inside from getting out. There were no stairs leading up to from the upper floors of the castle down into the courtyard. It is not evident today because of the 30 Years' War in the middle 1600s. The castle's tower, moat, and other defenses were dismantled as part of a decree issued by Emperor Ferdinand III. to make private castles more accessible and less defensible. Houska's earthen ramparts were also taken down at this time. At the beginning of the 18th century, the castle was remodeled into a Renaissance chateau, drawing visitors from across the region. In 1836, during a walking tour of the region, the Czech poet Karl Heinrich Maka spent a night at the castle, and supposedly in his dreams he was visited by a terrible vision, which he later recounted in a letter to his friend Edward Heindel. Maka described his soul descending into the pit and then being transported into a hellish, machinized future. Prague, 2006, where he wandered in horror and despair. Among other unnerving experiences in the vision, Maka wrote that he met a girl who showed him moving pictures in a small casket, and that the darkness and he walked among high sandstone cliffs riddled with holes that projected an eerie yellow light, uncannily like the modern enormous blocks of flats which the present day loom out in the outskirts of Prague. Maka was describing all of this in 1836. So how did these visions of the future emerge from his subconscious? Was it really only a dream, or is it possible that he was transported ahead in time? There are those who believe so. Now, it's also known that the German SS took over the castle during the Nazi occupation of Czechoslovakia from 1939 to 1945. It's not known precisely what they were doing there, as in typical SS fashion, they destroyed all the records and all evidence of their activities when German forces retreated from Bohemia in the face of the advancing Russian and American armies. The castle has no strategic significance whatsoever to the German war effort or occupation, and given the known facts of the occult philosophies and underpinning of Heinrich Himmler's SS and Nazism in general, coupled with the knowledge that Hitler channeled significant resources into researching the discovery of supernatural weapons to be able to use them against the Allies, it's not unreasonable to propose that the SS's reasons for occupying the castle were related to an experimental research regarding the castle's occult connections. It's also been proposed that Houska was one of the SS's secret breeding farms, a location where young women who were of acceptable blood were given service by able-bodied SS troopers in the ongoing effort to breed the master race.
Carry on.
Whatever the significance to the Nazis, the castle fell into disrepair during the communist era, and the grounds were littered with landmines. A few were willing to take a chance to visit the castle until they were actually cleared away. Now, this is one of the main reasons why the current owners will not allow any excavation inside the castle to determine the existence of this supposed bottomless crack in the limestone, for fear of possible existence of undiscovered German explosives. That said, the castle is in the process of being renovated and restored in modern day. Still, these legends surrounding the castle don't end there. A personal perusal of a number of internet sites and blogs revealed that even a modern-day visitors to the castle claim to have unexplainable experiences of all sorts, followed by instances of extremely bad personal luck when they leave the premises. Some say that they feel an irresistible aversion to entering a building in the first place. One of them is Hannah McGee, owner-operator of McGee's Ghost Tours in Prague. When she and the company co-founder Tyler McGee made their first visit to the castle last winter, accompanied by their dogs, Hannah says she felt extreme uneasiness when she came into the courtyard. Apparently she wasn't the only one to experience the bad vibes, because soon the McGee dog Bobo began barking and becoming very excited, with nothing visible to provoke him. Mr. McGee described the feeling of being followed or watched by a predatory being during their entire tour of the premises. Later that day, when they returned to Prague, they parked the car in the city center, left it there while they did their nightly ghost tour. When they returned more than an hour later, the vehicle had vanished. The police found it within a couple hours, already stripped of its valuables and completely trashed. Many other people who have spent the night in the castle have other stories to tell. The Houska serves as a meeting place for experts on the occult, UFOs, paranormal phenomenon of all kinds, and is a site of numerous conferences and events. Some of these people say that Houska may be built according to the principles of sacred geometry, and consequently may be a portal for teleportation or time travel. Going back to our poet. All in all, there are many theories and bizarre stories about this legendary Gothic structure and its surroundings, and some of them have more evidence to back them up than others. Now, a tour guide at the castle will tell you at the end of your visit there, choose for yourself what to believe. Personally, I'm in no rush to go see this castle. I got bad vibes just researching that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole place is bad juju.
Yeah, which is why we're not going there.
Yeah.
There are plenty other places to see.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go.
You'll go and report back?
I mean, the Nazis liked the place, which is
another reason why I don't want to go there.
It's kind of enough to, but, yeah. So, Roberta said that, apparently she grew up going to, Catholic school, and, the nuns told her that she was demonic due to being left-handed.
Yep.
And having a birthmark on her left arm.
Yep.
So, thankfully, Roberta's mother was not amused, and she let her remain left-handed.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes. Cheers to that. But, yeah, that's rude.
David got told that once back in school.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. My cousin who was left-handed.
Patrick, Nazis liked the place. Red flag. Yep. That's the truth. But anyway, so yes, one more stop in the Czech Republic. And it has a disproportionate number of these gates to hell, but it is what it is, I guess. And this next stop takes us to the mysterious Faust's house, which is located on present-day Charles Square in Prague. Now, where does the Faust come from? Does it have anything to do with the famous alchemist, astrologer, and magician Dr. Faust? Perhaps, but let's investigate the legend bound to this building. Once upon a time...
Let's just say the Czech does not have happy endings. I'm just saying.
There was a poor student living in... Yeah, you got that right. This is a heck of a story. There was a poor student living in Prague's New Town district. His clothes were old, shabby, and full of holes. His shoes were broken and leaked. He lacked money to such an extent that he fell a few months behind on his rent payment, and his landlord ran out of patience. Suddenly, he found himself standing outside the door with no place to go. He walked the streets of Newtown, hoping to find shelter from a heavy rain. As he passed the Faust house, he spotted that the main gate to the building was ajar. Tired and hungry, he sneaked inside the house. Hell's eyeballs are talking. So, it was full of fascinating and mind-boggling things. As he looked around, he also looked up towards the ceiling, and there he noticed a large hole burned black along the edge. He remembered the legend connected to this house that he had heard from an old fellow. According to the story, the previous owner of the house had disappeared, and nobody had ever seen him again. It was said the devil himself took that man from his bedroom, their bodies piercing a hole in the ceiling as they flew straight to hell. This was a great punishment not only for his greediness, but also for his dreadful cruelty. After the initial joy of finding shelter faded, the student became less and less comfortable. He increasingly felt more and more afraid. However, his poverty laid heavy on him. Eventually, as he had not yet encountered any ghosts or creatures after being in the house for several hours, he decided to stay. He repaired the ceiling by covering the hole with a piece of old carpet. The next morning, he awoke to sharp hunger pains. He searched the room for anything edible, but found only a silver coin in one of the many ceramic bowls. He hesitated to take it, but his hunger was stronger than his modesty. He took the coin and with it bought himself a decent breakfast and still had enough money left for lunch. The next day he found another silver coin in the dish again. This happened again and again until he began to believe that his misfortune was coming to an end. He had enough money to eat well every day, and shortly after he was able to get new clothes and shoes. The strange things in the house, mechanical toys, and a big library full of alchemist tools intrigued him. He was so amazed by his discovery that he started studying the old magician's books and parchments. He realized he did not have to work at all because a shiny coin appeared in the bowl every day. His new life was so wonderful and carefree that he did not worry about money and kept spending it since the bowl was seemingly bottomless. He had taken everything for granted, and soon his daily budget was not enough. The more he had, the more he wished to have. He was getting extremely greedy. The silver coin was not enough. Now he wanted a gold coin. He decided to use magic formulas to call upon the devil. The former impoverished student had become so self-centered and prideful that he believed he was stronger than the devil and he could force the devil to fulfill his wealth-crazed desires. His blindness brought upon him his own misfortune. Nobody ever saw the student again, and because he had no family, nobody really looked for him, and soon he was becoming forgotten. Until, on a cold November day, a wanderer sought shelter in Newtown where he found the main gate of the Faust house open. He entered and went upstairs, ready to rest, but when he looked towards the ceiling, he froze in panic. The furniture was broken, shreds of tattered clothes were strewn all around the room. Open magician books were lying on the floor in the middle of the room, and the carpet, which had originally been covering the black hole, was stripped down, crumpled on the floor. The entire room and the edges of the black hole were stained with dry blood. It seems the devil had not been conquered, and the house has remained shrouded in mystery ever since. For many, this legend is just that, a legend, a warning tale against avarice. But even if it is only a legend, most such tales have a seed somewhere. The first written record about this house dates to a time before Charles IV founded Newtown in the 14th century. Originally, it was the palace of the Dukes of Lhota, who had a bewitched reputation because of their devotion to alchemy. But the significance of the place on which the house was built dates to pre-Christian times. At the location of today's building, there used to be a pagan sacrificial ground devoted to the death goddess Morana. Therefore, the name of this place, Na Morani, has been preserved to this day. A long time before Newtown was established, there was a fenced yard guarding the most important trade route, the Royal Route, that linked the historic fort of Visyard to Prague Castle. For centuries, this route was also part of the coronation route for Bohemian kings. Nobody knows when or who dubbed it the Faust House, and there are no written passages about it in any historical document. Dr. Johann Georg Faust was a wandering alchemist, astrologer, and magician. Rumors about him floated around even during his lifetime. It was said that he associated with the devil. The house is connected to Faust's legend, although according to historians he never lived there. The legend probably arose due to several successive owners who were devoted to natural science and alchemy, as was the wandering magical Faust. The first known owner of the property was Yaroslav Kapun de Shorvav, who is quite dubious. The scaffolds claimed his life in 1539. The house was forfeit to Emperor Ferdinand I, who gifted it to his personal doctor, Jan Kopp, whose hobby was alchemy. With great probability, Kopp had an alchemist's laboratory in the house. Next in line was Edward Kelly, a court alchemist of Emperor Rudolph II. Kelly settled into the house in the late 16th century and most likely is responsible for the alchemy-themed frescoes now found on the walls. Apparently he carried out his largely mysterious experiments on the grounds. It is therefore not surprising that the house, with its doubtful reputation, has become subject to dark rumors among people. They are loosely linked to the legend of Faust, but what actually happened in this house? Was it really visited by the devil himself? More of the house owners were members of the Moldona-Skoponsky family, nobility. They acquired the house in the 18th century when Ferdinand bought it. He, along with Joseph, who constructed mechanical toys and conducted technological experiments, probably most closely resembles the reputation of Dr. Faust because of his fondness for physics and alchemy. Occasionally, people heard explosions during the night and saw flames leaping from the windows. There were visible moving figures and other strange machines in this house. The lords of Maldoda
Yes, close.
showed their rich collection of moving toys to their guests. What exactly were these creatures? It raised the idea that these men were being in league with the devil. That's probably when the fate of the sorcerer's house started to intersect with the popular stories about Dr. Faust, and the house of Dr. Faust was born. The Moldoda family also supposedly manufactured medicinal ointments and other products right in their house cellar. That is why we could assume that the basement of the house has not been brought up all of its secrets. Another distinctive and more modern owner who revived the devilish legend in the 19th and 20th centuries is Karl Janik. He was chaplain of the adjoining St. John of Nepomuk Church. He had a special interest. He was obsessed with everything linked to death and funerals. Most intriguingly, he owned a human skull and part of a gallows. He slept in a coffin, and he decorated his room with black funeral banners. Truly a goth before his time. Was this just a coincidence that the man with such a preoccupation would reside on the former grounds of the death goddess? To add to all of these posed questions, let's add some more to the mystery. The interiors of the Faust house breathe secrets in the past and the famous devil's legend. For one, there is a hole big enough for an adult to squeeze through in the ceiling. For another, even though this place was damaged by a bomb during the Second World War and has caught fire on 4 occasions, it has never been seriously damaged. It is said that the house was saved, or rather protected, by 7 cats buried in the foundation of the house.
Ah, well.
Yeah. Yes, those very skeletons were truly found there during renovation, so perhaps the house still hasn't released all of its secrets.
Agecraft had some of those. Agecraft had cat skeletons in the house.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me.
Is it Marlowe's Faustus?
Yeah, probably.
What was his first name?
Oh God, I'm stuck.
For sure.
It was probably
Johann George Faust.
Yeah, that's Marlowe's Faust. Yeah. Nita, you learn something new every day.
All right, so we're gonna come back to our side of the pond. We're gonna go to Texas.
No, I was
Texas
like, why the accent?
Drop the accent. Drop it.
You know Texas has got a hell portal or
You
gate.
have not finished your drink. I cannot condone it. Jesus, don't do that to yourself. It's fine. Please.
I will not choke. I'll choke on those grapes. All right. So our next stop, as we mentioned, we're going to Lone Star State. We're in West Texas, where the legend states that the gates of hell are to be found at the historic railroad trestle, not far from the grave of rock legend Buddy Holly. In the 1950s, the rock pioneer is buried at Lubbock Cemetery among 60,000 other graves, and fans from around the world would come and visit Holly's grave each year to pay tribute to the singer-songwriter whose work profoundly influenced everyone from the Beatles to Bob Dylan. However, a few of these visitors are aware of the historic railroad trestle known as Hell's Gates. It's located just down the winding road from the cemetery, not to mention the history of the spooky rumors and myths about the bridge. The trestle looms over the south end of Dunbar Park, bridging the canyon above the trickling water of the North Fork and the double mountain fork of the Brazos River. It's an imposing structure, and at night it is indeed an ominous sight. The park isn't located in the best part of Lubbock, and the trestle itself is isolated, so it's highly recommended that if you choose to visit, go during daylight hours, please. There are many rumors about the trestle, known as Hell Gates, most impossible to confirm, of course, and some of them are most certainly among nothing more than a myth. But the place boasts rich folklore. Believers claim that the trestle acts as a bridge connecting the South Plains with the Spirit Plain. One dubious story maintains that in the early 1900s, robbers forced the train to stop on the trestle, murdered the passengers, tossing their bodies over the bridge and into the stream below. During the 1970s, rumors abounded of satanic cult members would perform rituals at Hell's Gate, and as macabre as that may be, it's one of the more plausible stories surrounding the trestle. Over the years, the site has indeed attracted some strange visitors on occasion. There's also a rumor that a young woman committed suicide by hanging herself from that bridge. Many visitors to Hell's Gates reports that shadowy figures or even glowing orbs are easily seen. Whether these stories are the work of an overactive imagination or a genuine supernatural sighting, it's a question best left to those who are brave enough to check out the site for themselves. But it should be noted that the city of Lubbock has placed a chain link fence over either side of the trestle in an effort to keep people from walking across the railroad ties. A fall from that trestle can easily result in death or permanent injury. We strongly discourage anybody venturing out on the trestle itself, but the location is fascinating enough to be viewed from the ground. We're going to stay in the U.S., but we're just going to jump states.
Yep. Oh, uh-oh. It jumped. So, last stop for the evening, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, there was another one I found, but the police warning on the story was so big. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to tell the one.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, you... No.
You left it in there. You left like a sentence in there.
Okay.
And I decided that the script was looking a little short, so I took that
Oh
So I took that sentence and I expanded upon it greatly.
no!
Okay, so
Okay, well,
going
hang on.
there.
What is the police warning first?
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Oh.
Big fat letters. You will be in jail. You will be fined. Do not go there.
I mean, we've told stories like that before.
Oh no, they actually do, and they literally are arresting at least one person a week.
Yeah, we've told stories like that.
Patrick says, I guess we're living dangerously tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now-
I did not mean for this to go in, but okay.
I edited.
Yes, you did.
Editorial review. All right. So, our last stop, as I actually typed here, is a source of much controversy, as rumors state that the devil himself holds court with his worshippers there. Many believe that Stull Cemetery in Douglas County, Kansas, is a gateway to hell. It is Kansas. I don't think we have anybody watching in Kansas. I think I'm safe there. Anyways, moving on. But there are some who claim that Stull Cemetery does not deserve the blood-curdling reputation that it has gained over the years. Stull Cemetery and the abandoned church that rests next to it is in the tiny, nearly forgotten Kansas town of Stull. There is not much left of the village, save for a few houses, a newer church, and about 20 residents. In addition to its human inhabitants, the town is also home to a number of legends and strange tales that are linked to the crumbling old church and the overgrown cemetery that can be found atop Stull's Emmanuel Hill. For years, stories of witchcraft, ghosts, supernatural happenings, and hell gates have surrounded the old graveyard. The legends say that these stories have been linked to Stull for more than 100 years, but none of them made it to the print until 1970s, where in November of 1974, an article appeared in the University of Kansas student newspaper that spoke of several strange occurrences in the Stull churchyard. According to the article, Stull was haunted by legends of diabolical supernatural happenings, and the legends asserted that the cemetery was one of the two places on Earth where the devil appeared in person 2 times each year. It is said that the cemetery had been the source of many legends in the area, stories that had been told and retold for over a century. The piece also went on to say that most students learned of Stull's diabolical reputation from their grandparents and older individuals, and that many of them claimed first-hand encounters with things that could not be explained. One student claimed to have been grabbed by the arm by something unseen, while others spoke of unexplained memory loss when visiting the place. Like many other locations of this type, the tales of devil worship and witchcraft also figured strongly into the article. But were the stories true? Not according to the residents of Stull, who claimed to have never heard the stories before. They were bemused, annoyed, and downright angered that such things were being said about their town. The pastor of the new church in Stull, located right across the road from the old one, indicated that he believed the stories to be the invention of students at the university. But such stories have a strong hold on people, as evidenced by the reaction to the article that claimed that the devil would appear in Stull Cemetery on the night of the spring equinox and again on Halloween. On March 20th, 1978, more than 150 people waited in the cemetery for the arrival of the devil. Word also spread that the spirits of those who died violent deaths and were buried there would return from the grave. However, the only spirits that showed up that night came in bottles and cans. This did not stop the stories from spreading. All through the 1980s and up until today, stories have been told about Stull Cemetery, and as time has passed, most have grown more horrifying and harder to believe. The problem seems to be that the cemetery has a lack of real, documented accounts of strange activity. Oddly enough, it makes sense. Nobody's actually made an effort to document any actual possible paranormal activity, so people fill the void with
Stories.
this. Now, the weird tales seem to be a little more than urban legends and secondhand stories from teenagers and college students. The legends also say that the devil has been appearing here since the 1850s and insist that the original name of the town was Stull, and that the later corruption of that into Stull was to simply cover the fact that the area was steeped in black magic. It was said that the witchcraft-practicing early settlers were so repentant about their past deeds that they changed the name of the town. In truth, the town was called Deer Creek Community until 1899, when the last name of the first postmaster, Sylvester Stull, was adopted as the name of the village. The post office closed in 1903, but the name stuck. But why in Stull? The legend is that the devil appears in Stull because of an event that took place in the 1850s when a stable hand allegedly stabbed the mayor to death in the cemetery's old stone barn. Years later, the barn was converted into a church, which in turn was gutted by fire. A decaying wooden crucifix that continued to hang from one wall was said to sometimes turn upside down when passers-by step into the building at night. The story neglects to mention that, historically speaking, neither the Deer Creek Community nor Stull have ever had an official mayor.
That's not the story I was referring to.
Oh, okay.
I have a fun fact.
Yes.
Oh, I might get there.
Damn.
Does it have to do with a certain show?
It does.
I'll let you know when.
Okay,
I'll let you know
cool.
when. Okay. All right. Now, still, legends grew, and by 1989, the crowd at the graveyard on Halloween night had become so overwhelming that the Douglas County Sheriff's Department had to station deputies outside to send people on their way. They handed out tickets for criminal trespass to anyone caught on the property. It was believed that nearly 500 people came to the cemetery on Halloween night of 1988, doing damage to the church and gravestones, prompting a police response the following year. I thought we were talking about the same thing. Oh well, details. One of the strangest stories about Stull supposedly appeared in Time magazine in either 1993 or 1995. Red flag in and of itself. It's not that far past. Let's nail down a year, folks. Now, it all depends on the version of the story that you hear, and in either case, it isn't true. This story is that never actually appeared in Time magazine, claimed that Pope John Paul II allegedly ordered his private plane to fly around eastern Kansas while on his way to a public appearance in Colorado. The reason for this was that the Pope did not want to fly over unholy ground. Stories are really getting out there. They're kind of crazy. This is one of those cautionary tales, beware what you believe in. But anyways, let's go on. We're not done yet. As time passed, the local residents grew more irritated that vandals and trespassers were wreaking havoc in the cemetery where their loved ones and ancestors were buried. Finally, a chain-link security fence was installed around the grounds, and although the area is still regularly patrolled, the visits have died down somewhat, at least outside of October. But in addition, there have been the signs posted against trespassing here, and locals have made it clear that visitors are not welcome. So what about the stories? Without a doubt, the majority of the tales about the cemetery have been manufactured from horror fiction. But they still beg the question of how such stories got started in the first place. Is there a grain of truth to the dark tales? Local residents are not talking. Although property owners have spoken out against both vandals and the macabre stories, they have done little to try and end the legend for good. For example, as so many of the paranormal events supposedly involve the ruin of the old church, why not tear it down? The building had been standing vacant since 1922, and it was badly damaged by vandalism over the years. In 1996, the remnants of the roof blew off, and once exposed to the elements, the interior walls have been damaged by both weather and graffiti. Recently, a large crack also opened in one of the stone walls after the church was struck by lightning. So why not tear it down to try and bring an end to the demonic tale circulating around the place? To make matters worse, why chase away those who come to the cemetery at midnight on Halloween to see the devil appear? Why not simply control the chaos and allow the curiosity seekers to see that no spirits will run rampant on that fateful night? On Halloween night of 1999, reporters from a local newspaper and a television news crew joined a group of onlookers at the cemetery. Sheriff's deputies were on hand but did not ask anyone to leave until 11:30 p.m. Why? At this precise moment, an unknown representative for the cemetery owners appeared and ordered everyone to leave the property. The officers had no choice but to go along with their wishes, and the reporters and spectators had to leave. As Stull Cemetery and the land around it is private, there was no option but to comply. The owner stated through the representative that they did not want media attention brought to the graveyard because it attracts vandals. But couldn't they have furthered their cause by allowing the camera crew to show that the devil did not appear at midnight, thus debunking the legend forever? But that isn't the end of the story. On March 29th, 2002, the old stone church in the cemetery was mysteriously demolished. So, the church actually is gone. I think I alluded to it still being there. No, it's gone. 2002. Boom. Gone. A man named Major Weiss, who owned the property along with 2 other people who he declined to name, said that he did not authorize the abandoned church to be destroyed. Those who lived nearby stated that they were also unaware of the demolition, although one of them did say that a wall of the church had collapsed about 2 weeks before. The spooky old church, so much a part of the legend, was no more. While the church, having been the source of so much story, was gone, popular culture proved unwilling to let go of Stull Cemetery.
It's in Supernatural.
Yes.
Which is the inspiration of our drinks. So in Supernatural, there is a wonderful episode at the very end of season 5. I will not be doing any spoilers because I don't do that, but it does involve 2 archangels having a battle. Super duper fun. We love it. Am I allowed to say the A word?
Let's not.
Oh, okay. There's a really famous line in it, and I'm not allowed to say it.
You'll just have to watch Supernatural.
Yeah.
But yes, the penultimate episode of season 5, which was initially intended to actually be the end of the series.
It was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for some reason.
Yes.
But I'm glad we got the ending we did. It was good.
Yeah. So, try as they might, Stull is unable to shake its reputation as an annual stomping ground of the devil. Now, I will say Stull also has, there's lots of mentions of it in pop culture.
Yeah.
There was actually 1992 or 93, the band Urge Overkill put the picture of the church on the cover of their album.
That is a obscure reference, but I love it.
So my question is at midnight on Halloween, does the devil play the violin, or does he only do that in Georgia?
I don't know. Why is it an obscure reference? I grew up with Urge Overkill.
Okay. I think all the whiskey's gone, my friend.
Yes, I know it's been like 30 years, okay? I'm getting old.
Let's not play that card. It's my card.
That's okay.
You're aging better than I am.
My other boss
Make
is
up
opening
die.
a toy store for Star Wars toys. And he said, yeah, we're mostly just doing vintage toys. He unboxes a whole bunch of things from episode 1 that I had when I was a kid. And he called them vintage. So, you're not alone in the age.
Comments. Since I can't read them. They're way too small over there.
My understanding was that he lost the violin in a bet, so
Yeah,
not
he did.
anymore.
Well, the gold one anyway.
That was
But
from
it-
Patrick.
Yes, he lost it to Johnny. Because Johnny was a much better fiddler.
Yep. Patrick says, if the cops come knocking at our door, it'll be very interesting to see how the cats react. They'll come say hello.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will.
Oh, but let's see. Yeah, and then you commented about burying the cats in the walls.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just protected people from witches.
Yep.
It was super common
Yeah, they're
from
considered
the
witches.
late Middle Ages and to the, shortly past Shakespeare's day.
Yet they're witches familiars.
Okay, that's really freaky because that was not...
That was somebody jumping up the bed upstairs.
Oh,
That was a
thank
cat.
goodness.
onto
It
the
sounded
floor.
like it was, that side of
From the wall,
I
yeah.
was like,
That was a cat jumping off the bed up above
But
us.
I will say that Patrick noted that waiting for the devil to appear in a cemetery at midnight sounds like the worst idea ever.
It kind of does.
If it sounds like a bad idea to Patrick, it's probably a bad idea.
Good point.
I mean, especially on Halloween, like, you guys don't have anything cooler to do.
Yeah, I know, really. I mean,
I'm not opposed to spending my Halloween in a cemetery, just not necessarily one that the devil is reputed to be in.
again, it's Kansas.
Yeah, I don't want to spend time in Kansas.
Is there anything to do in Kansas?
Besides dodge tornadoes that whisk you off to other worlds?
Be two brothers and a, oh my god, a Chevy Impala.
Always a relief when you find out it's a feline and not a human intruder. Yep.
True. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is our portals, our gateways to hell, whatever you want to call them, hell cults, all that good stuff for tonight.
Yep, so upcoming in October we're doing Creepy Dolls 3.
Yes. Yes.
So-
because
Apparently there are more.
There are more.
there are
God.
so many more. And
And after that we're going to do another haunted houses, and then we're going to do an international haunted houses.
Nice.
And that's where we are in stories right now.
yep, we got a lot coming up. What did I just posted the
Scripted.
I'll script it. I've got some buddies. They're probably all gonna be super old, but I got some buddies that I'm gonna be like, what are your favorites from Iceland? Okay.
That works. So we have on the 22nd. Is that the Scares tour?
Oh, yes, yeah. Saturday, October 22nd at 9 p.m., our Churchill Chillers tour is going to be a benefit tour with 100% of the ticket proceeds going to support Scares That Care. So please, please, please go ahead and buy your tickets and come on out and join us on that tour. We're hoping to sell it out, maybe even twice over, because we're going to have a couple of people there. We're going to have 2 guys available to go ahead and sell as many tickets as possible and hopefully raise a small boatload of money for Scares That Care.
Right before holiday season for the families.
Yep.
Of course, Key West happening still first weekend in December.
Yep, we're just over 2 months away.
Yep.
Are you announcing the miserable thing?
No, not yet.
Not yet, gotcha.
That meeting about that on Wednesday.
Gotcha. Okay.
So need to figure out exactly what the details are going to be, but it looks like it's a go.
That's good.
Yep. Just got to figure out the details.
That's what we got coming up.
Yep. So a lot going on.
Yep. Everybody who's in Florida, be safe.
Yes.
Please be safe. Batten down your hatches. If you need to come to Virginia, let us know.
Yep. Yes. Fingers crossed everybody's going to be okay.
Yep.
But, yep. So, but yeah. In the meantime, so yeah, it's going to be 3 weeks till we're doing this again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, we got a boatload of stuff going on. Starting next Friday, we enter our official spooky season schedule, which is going to be
Wednesday through Sunday.
Wednesday through Sunday. Public tours running every night,
Oof.
Wednesday through Sunday, with 2 tours on Fridays and 3 tours on Saturdays. So lots going on there, and that's in addition to the special events that we've already mentioned and the other ones that we have still to announce. So
come out and see us while we're zombies.
yeah. And also in addition to the private tours that we have booked that nobody can see on our schedule because they're private tours, and the Ghost Walks at Night, and
I'm passing out November 1st, just so y'all know.
I'm seeing if I can book a private tour that day.
No, you're not. I'm not giving it.
I'll give it.
But yeah, so come on out and see us, and even if you can't, go ahead, just drop us a note. We'd love to chat with y'all. And yeah, if you want to support Scares the Care but can't come out on the 22nd, just go to their website and shoot them a donation or something like that.
Shoot them the amount of the tickets, say from Missing Haunts tour or
And
whatever.
Any amount is welcome and appreciated by them. So, but yeah, I think
That's where we are.
I think that's it. I think that leaves us where we're at.
All right, so we will catch you all on the flip side on October 17th for Creepy Dolls 3.
And you can see us probably looking like creepy dolls as we're...
Are we actually dressing
No.
up? Oh, okay.
We're just gonna be halfway through.
The
these
back
We
episodes.
will
talked about
already
it
be
for
there.
pirates, but we didn't do it.
No, I ran out of time. Just like I ran out of time tonight to even just change my shirt.
Yeah. I'll
but-
come earlier just to make you think, like...
I
He was working on the newsletter. Let's be real. He was working on.
I was
stuff.
doing some work, and then I didn't realize that our fun drink from tonight needed to break out the shaker and all that. Good
So
stuff.
sorry.
It is what it is.
Next week's or 3 weeks from now probably will too.
Yeah,
Apparently I like shakers.
Admittedly, I gotta say, it wasn't my thing.
Really? I
No.
loved it.
I mean, it's not terrible. Obviously, I drank mine, but wasn't my thing.
Okay, so what didn't you like about it? Just so I know.
Was it the lemonade?
I think so.
Gotcha.
I like pineapple juice.
Oh yeah, I love pineapple juice. It might have been the lemonade that we used, but it is 4 parts lemonade, 2 parts pineapple juice, 1 part whiskey,
Yeah.
and then shake over ice.
I'll
And
probably switch a part whiskey for a part lemonade.
Yeah,
Because
but-
I can't taste the whiskey at all.
Yeah, it needed more whiskey.
But the grapes, like, I didn't think the grapes would add anything to it, but it did.
a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
there was
And
some essence.
they were
of
supposed
grape
to be green grapes. I
Yeah.
know we had these.
there. But we had reds.
We had
That's
red,
what
so
we
that's what we
used.
used. So,
But I feel like the green grapes
and
are
Patrick
the
wants
cheaper.
us to dress up. I don't know what I would dress up
Like,
as.
how are we going to dress up as a doll? Like, I mean, you won't even know if I'm dressed up, so.
You could just
yeah,
you could put
I
some
am
rope.
so not doing creepy doll makeup. Sorry.
You could string me up from the ceiling. I'll be a
marionette?
marionette.
No.
I'll control you from over here.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. But anyways, I'm tired. A little tired, and I'm rambling.
Yes, and I have to open the shop. So
Yes.
it is time to close
All right.
for the night.
Everybody, have a good night. Be safe out there. Hope to see you soon. Even if we can't, don't hesitate to drop us a line.
do
So,
it, do it, do it.
good
Doesn't
night,
have to
everybody.
be a doll. It's your Halloween episode. Have fun with Halloween costumes.
We could wear a Halloween costume.
That could be fun. Hopefully mine will be in by then, so.
We could.
And you won't even know.
Oh no, you told her coming on the show.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
night, everybody.